Hi everyone, I'm Joe Cuhaj, and welcome to the first of a series of videos highlighting the fantastic hiking experiences you'll find along America's third coast, from Tampa, Florida to Corpus Christi, Texas. Welcome to Hiking the Gulf Coast. Even though Alabama has a relatively small footprint along the Gulf Coast, they still have some amazing hiking adventures awaiting you. In this region, you'll experience mysterious Spanish moss-laden bayous, crystal-clear blackwater rivers, maritime wetlands and forests, and the sugary white beaches of the Gulf of Mexico itself. The weather along the Gulf is near perfect all year long, with only a couple of exceptions. The coast has a subtropical climate, which means that in summer, a mix of heat and humidity can make for dangerous heat indexes. During this time, it's best to do your hiking in the morning and stay hydrated. That afternoon heat also means that severe thunderstorms and flooding rains can pop up at any moment. Keep tabs on the weather through local media, the National Weather Service, and of course, keep your eyes to the sky for threatening weather, like clouds that are building into an anvil shape, the sure sign of a severe thunderstorm. Remember, you can find complete details on the trails that we'll cover today, plus many others, and additional information about hiking the Gulf Coast in my Falcon Guide, aptly titled, Hiking the Gulf Coast. Our first stop takes us to the town of Perdido, Alabama, where you'll find Splinter Hill Bog. The bog encompasses several habitats, including longleaf pine forest and one of the most intact seepage bogs left on the Gulf Coast. It's here that you'll find many rare or declining species of plants, as well as what has been described as the most visually stunning pitcher plant bog in the world. Beginning around March, thousands of white-top pitcher plants begin to bloom. These are carnivorous plants, much like a Venus flytrap, with long green cylindrical cones topped with a flap that traps insects inside. There are two sections to the bog. One is managed by the Nature Conservancy, which has a shorter trail but takes you to that visually stunning pitcher plant bog. The other is managed by the Forever Wild program, which is run by the state. It's a 4-mile loop trail that takes you through a nice wetland, pitcher plant bog, and through a longleaf pine forest. The Alabama Gulf Coast plays host to the second largest river delta in the country, the Mobile-Tensaw River Delta. Inside the delta, you'll find two fun and impressive hikes. The first location in the delta is at the historic Blakely State Park, where almost 15 miles of trail take you through what used to be a thriving port city. In fact, the town of Blakely used to rival Cross Bay, Mobile as a major shipping and shipbuilding center. A yellow fever epidemic, however, virtually wiped the town out in the early 1800s. Today, you can walk the main street of this ghost town, passing remnants of the old courthouse, and take in beautiful views of the entrance to the delta itself from a long nature boardwalk. But Blakely is more famous for the Civil War battle that occurred here in 1865, which is now recognized as the last major battle of the war. Your hike through Blakely will take you alongside some of the best preserved breastworks and redoubts in the South, and to the site of the battle itself. Another great hike in the Delta is Mound Island. The island itself is located deep in the heart of the Delta, where Native Americans made the island home thousands of years ago. It's here on the island that they built large mounds out of dirt by hand, the largest being 45 feet tall, where tribal leaders would live or ceremonies would take place. The hike to the mounds itself is only about a mile long, but you'll feel like you're in another world as you completely submerge yourself in the rainforest-like wilderness of the Delta. Along the hike, you may see osprey, bald eagles, great blue heron, and maybe an alligator sunning itself on the banks. There's only two ways that you can get to the island itself. You can either kayak with your own kayak or rent one from one of the several shops in the area, or by tour boat. There are 2 companies that schedule tours to the island, like this one provided by Delta Safaris. Many people don't realize it, but there is a backpacking trail on the Alabama Gulf Coast. It's the Perdido River Trail. When finished, the trail will be about 20 miles long one way and runs parallel to its namesake river that forms the border between Alabama and Florida. In the past, however, the river also served as a border between countries of the New World, including France, Spain, Britain, and the United States. Now, being on the Gulf Coast, the trail is relatively flat, but what the trail lacks in difficulty, it more than makes up for with its beauty and serenity. Of course, there's the Blackwater River itself, but also amazing cedar bogs and swamps, pine savanna and pitcher plant bogs, and stunning white sandbars where the swimming is great. The trail now has several shelters along the route that were built by the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. They're available free of charge on a first-come, first-served basis. Right on the shores of the Gulf of Mexico, on the Fort Morgan Peninsula, there is an amazing ecosystem that is protected by the U.S. government from the state's rapid coastal city growth. It's the Bon Secour National Wildlife Refuge. Bon Secour is a French word that literally means safe harbor, and that's exactly what the refuge is for hundreds of different species of plants, birds, and wildlife. The refuge plays host to such rare animals as the Alabama beach mouse, and it's the prime nesting ground for the endangered loggerhead sea turtle. While you hike the trails, you may cross paths with an alligator, or be surprised as the giant shadow of a great blue heron is cast upon you. The refuge has 4 trails in all, each leading you through its own unique habitat. There's the 1-mile Jeff Friend Loop, which is perfect for families and is handicapped accessible, with gravel paths and boardwalks that lead you to the shimmering waters of Little Lagoon. The 2-mile Out and Back Gator Lake Trail crosses sugary white sand dunes and is lined with scrub pine, fragrant wild rosemary, green deer moss, and saw palmetto as it makes its way to the freshwater Gator Lake. The 2-mile-long one-way or point-to-point Centennial Trail uses wide dirt roads and long boardwalks as it traverses through a maritime wetland filled with wildflowers and blooming water lilies. And then there's the most popular trail in the refuge, the 4-mile Out and Back Pine Beach Trail. The Pine Beach Trail guides you through several transitional Gulf ecosystems, starting in a maritime forest, then making its way through a maritime wetland, and finally to the most secluded and beautiful beach on the Alabama Gulf Coast. Halfway through the hike, you can stop, have a snack or lunch, and view the birds and wildlife from a nice 2-story observation deck. And be sure to keep your eyes open. You never know who you may be sharing the trail with. Remember, when hiking the Pine Beach Trail, as you approach the Gulf, you'll be crossing over federally protected sand dunes. Please keep on the marked trail so you avoid disrupting this fragile ecosystem. These are only a few of the many trails that you'll find along the Alabama Gulf Coast. Hopefully, I've whet your appetite and you're ready to go out, lace up those boots, and explore those amazing trails. Visit the remarkable wildlife and take in those beautiful landscapes. You can learn more about these and other hikes along the Gulf Coast and in Alabama in any of my travel guides published by Falcon Guides. They're available now online or at your favorite bookstore. I'm Joe Cuhaj. Thank you for joining me. Next time, as we continue our hikes along the Gulf Coast, I'll take you to coastal Louisiana. I'll see you then.